So, thank you so much for coming. You guys have got to be really devoted, or maybe a little crazy to come out in weather like this. Experience Krishna consciousness, huh? Good to see you, Vanacari. All right, I think I'm almost situated. So we're going to talk about the title of tonight's. Can we make this? It's going to do this thing where I have to go follow it down. Go to third world countries, their microphones work. We got music stores all around within a few blocks, and our stuff is always something wrong. So, the title of tonight's discussion. Should I wait till we get set up, or what should I do? Huh? All right. So we're going to talk about an offer you can't refuse. Dun, dun, dun. Where have we heard that before? Godfather. The Godfather. Huh? Yeah. So, this is going to be a Godfather story. Literally. I was thinking if you were going to go, you had an interest in a new iPhone. What is the iPhone now? 15, 115, what is it? 15? Have they got the 15 out yet? I think this is so cute watching these phones with their numbers. They'll sell you the same phone, raise the number, make the camera a little bit better, and we just got to have it. We'll go spend tons of money for it. So, let's say you go to buy a new iPhone, and it's $1,500, but you think, wow, I really need this. This will really help me a great deal. It'll increase my enjoyment many times. It's worth the price. So we get there, and the guy says, well, it's $1,500. And you say, well, I don't think I can spend $1,500. That's a lot. So what if I gave it to you for $1,000? Well, now that's sounding a lot better, but that's still a lot to ask. So, all right, how about if I gave it to you for $200? You pay me $1 a month for as long as you want to. If you ever want to throw it back and say, I don't want it, I'll give you all of your money back, and you get to keep the phone. You don't lose anything. What would you say? Where do I sign? That's an offer I can't refuse. So, Krishna, our Supreme Gita, chapter 6, verses 37 through 44, and stop me with time. We'll just have a discussion. So Arjuna, he was wondering, he's hearing Krishna give all these instructions and directions, and with Krishna looking him in the eye, he's thinking, well, I'm going to ask every question I can think of for my benefit and for the benefit of those who are looking on and for the benefit of the world to come. This conversation took place between Arjuna and Krishna. Has whatever happened to Arjuna? Is he back in Godhead now? Huh? How could Arjuna not go back to Godhead? Well, he was Krishna's closest friend. Krishna and Arjuna are always united in this relationship of Krishna and Arjuna. Some people say, oh, you mean Arjuna doesn't get to go back to Godhead? I've had people say that. Well, the fact is, Arjuna has Krishna for eternity. I mean, can you imagine how sweet it would be to have this face-to-face conversation with Krishna? I mean, this is the most important 45-minute conversation between two living entities in the history of any creation ever. This discussion of Bhagavad Gita is the most revealing information about God ever. It's a personal word from God. You get to hear Krishna say his feelings and give his directions on how to come to him face to face. Is that a moment that you'd ever want to let go of? I mean, can you imagine at the end of the conversation, if you were Arjuna, and it came time for Krishna to say, well, that's all I have to say, off you go. See you some other time. Would you want that moment to come? No, this can't come to an end. So it never comes to an end. Krishna and Arjuna are speaking Bhagavad Gita. They're having this conversation always. It never ends. So this is Arjuna's back to Godhead. He gets to be part of this conversation between Krishna and you. He hears Krishna say it, and the world gets to talk about it forever. So this is eternally going on. So Arjuna doesn't have to say, oh, gee whiz, Krishna, this has been so wonderful. Au revoir. It would be painful to say goodbye to Krishna. Can you imagine? You wouldn't do it, would you? You'd say goodbye, but then you'd follow like a little kitty, you know? So that's the way it'll be when you go back home, back to Godhead. You're not going to have like some little place over here that's yours. You've got it all painted up just the way you like it. And you spend most of your time in your beautiful transcendental cottage in the spiritual world. And once in a while, you go see Krishna. You wouldn't want that, would you? Why, once you get back with Krishna, he's not going to be able to get rid of you, is he? You know, there is no timeline there. You don't have to. Krishna's never going to say, well, gee whiz, it's getting late. You know, we've got to all get up tomorrow and go to work. So let's wrap this up. No. All of these wonderful, loving relationships are eternal in the spiritual world. So therefore, Arjuna, who really never leaves the spiritual world, he's got his eternal relationship that he gets to live with Krishna. Although it looks like he's in the material world, this planet, that planet with Krishna, this creation, that creation, but he's always totally in Godhead, because wherever Krishna is, that is Godhead. So Arjuna, he says to Krishna, gee whiz, these are good questions, aren't they? You would probably want to ask this. Text 37, Arjuna said, oh, Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism? It's a good question. You know, Arjuna's got Krishna's ear and Krishna's mouth when he answers. Why not? We fire this question. Arjuna's saying, what happens if someone takes up this path of self-realization? Self-realization is the perfection in mysticism that Arjuna's describing here. He's not talking about a mysticism that means you can create a planet or manifest so many, make gold appear. I'm not talking about that kind of that mysticism is possible for a yogi. It's pretty hard work to get there, though. To get that, it takes you lifetimes. So Arjuna is saying, boy, this path of self-realization, as you explain it, Krishna, this sounds really good. But I've got to invest a lot of time and effort. Well, you're telling me all through our conversation here, you want me to think of you always. You want me to offer everything to you. In other words, this is not just a walk in the park. You want me to dedicate everything I have to loving you and demonstrating it. So what if I start out on that and then I get distracted? All of a sudden I think, maybe I should go back to school, get a better degree, get a better job, find a wife and a house and a career and a life. What if I want to go just do material things and walk away? First of all, can I? Can I just walk away? If we start in this loving relationship of devotional service, what am I promising here? Is it that if I stop, I'm going to go to hell? If I stop, you're going to punish me somehow? So Arjuna's a pretty smart guy. Now, of course, Arjuna knows all this. This conversation between Krishna and Arjuna is for you and you. It's for everyone. When Krishna and Arjuna were having this conversation, what do you think the other thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of ears that were on the battlefield, what do you think they were doing? You think they were playing with their phones? No. Every ear was like this. Every living entity wanted to hear what Krishna had to say. It's like time stopped. Everything stopped. It was questions that Arjuna had, and everybody wanted to hear the answer. This is for the benefit of all those assembled, for all of those that will come. That would be us. No one else. So Krishna originally spoke this Bhagavad Gita to the sun god. Through time, it seemed like the knowledge was becoming lost. And so here Krishna is again telling Arjuna, for the benefit of everyone, they didn't have to do this. They didn't have to show up in this war. But for the benefit of us, they did this. They had this conversation. War happened. Krishna stirred the war up because he didn't want Kali Yuga to get started off with the demoniac forces in charge. It's going to get bad enough. It is bad enough, but it's going to get worse here in Kali Yuga as time goes on. So Krishna wanted to start it off with a positive spin for all our benefit. That's why they're having this conversation. And that's why they're having this conversation eternally. It's for our benefit and for their pleasure. It gives Krishna great pleasure to associate with his beloved devotee. It's great pleasure. And to have this intimate conversation gives them both great ecstasy. So, that's a good question, right? Use Krishna. What if I give it a shot and then I change my mind? Spiritual and material success and perish like a raven cloud with no position? So this is what Arjuna is thinking. Wow, if somebody promises to you, Krishna, and they take up this austerity of becoming a devotee, gee whiz, you would think that if they fail or if they just decide to go a different route, you would think that they would lose their position. They wouldn't have a position in any sphere. Spiritually, materially, you've disgraced yourself. You're considered fallen. You had a good idea, but you blew it. And be spat upon by everybody, right? Arjuna's wondering. This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. Spoken like a disciple. Arjuna had already said in the second chapter, my dear Krishna, I accept you as my guru. Please instruct me. Sisyastiham sharimam tvam papanam. Now I'm your disciple to surrender to you. Please instruct me. And I'm not going to believe anybody else. I'm not going to take anybody else's opinion. You are my spiritual authority. He says it like that. But for you, no one is found who can destroy this doubt. So let's hear what Krishna says. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pritha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction, either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. That's a question that people ask from time to time. Does good always triumph over evil? Krishna says, yes. Krishna says, one who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. So you've got the words of Krishna behind you. If you're doing good, what is doing good? Spreading Krishna consciousness. Doing what Krishna says is good. If Krishna says, I want you to spread this message of Bhagavad Gita to all the fallen souls, well, and you do it, isn't that good? No evil will follow you because of that. If you're intending to do the right thing, good will always protect you. Now, you may think, well, there were some times I was trying to do the right thing, and it didn't come down like that, Well, maybe your intentions weren't fully pure, and maybe you had already rung up some negative karma, negative reaction. I don't know about you, but I feel like I came into this world with a whole lot of negative reaction, a whole lot of excess baggage. So anybody here feel like they've got a little negative, I wouldn't want, it's like if you go someplace and you're at an expensive restaurant, you're having a big meal, and it's really fun. You're with friends, people that you love, and it's just so much fun. The food is delightful. Service is impeccable. Everything is 5-star. Then it comes time for the check. You might get a little nervous at that point, right? And the number starts popping up in your head. Wow, she was. We all had kombucha. We all had. Gee whiz, we all had dessert. And oh boy, this is going to be a big tab. So it's like that with our negative tab. Let's say our tab for sinful activities. It's still active. If we paid it, if we paid our tab, we don't want it to be laid on the table right here and now, do we? I mean, if Yamaraj came through the door and said, hey, come here, here's your tab. And I don't take credit cards. You're going to have to come with me, my friend. And so we don't want to. We don't want to do. We want to do something so that we don't have to deal with that, right? What if we can make it through this life, and at the time of death, We don't have to worry about Yamaraj coming and saying, hey, here's your tab for all of your mistakes and all of the mean things you did, all the times that you were a jerk, every lie you told, everything you stole, all your sinful activities, here's the tab. And you're going to have to come with my fellows here. We're going to take you and deal with it, right? We don't want that. All of us are looking to avoid that. So, but then Krishna says, if we do good, we'll never be overcome by evil. So even though I'm doing good, something negative may happen to me from time to time, but it's just Krishna paying off my tab for me. And he's marking it down. I have to pay like 1 penny on the dollar, or not even that much. I couldn't even handle that. So the tab that we owe is reduced tremendously. Is it leaking?
Yeah, it's coming from the door.
Oh, yeah. So this is the desert. Interesting place, isn't it? So Krishna goes on. The unsuccessful yogi people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Wait, what's that?
Yeah.
The yogi, he's trying to get all these mystic powers. He's trying to find self-realization. Then, we're not even saying if he was overwhelmed, maybe. I mean, he just decided, I'm going to throw it away. He gets overcome by the material energy. Material desires spring up. What does he get? Krishna says, well, gee whiz, I'm going to send such a guy like that to the heavenly planets. He's going to live there for a couple 100,000 years. Wow. You didn't get self-realization, but because of your sincerity in trying, you're going to go to the heavenly planets. You're going to live out a long lifetime with incredible enjoyment that we really cannot imagine. We really can't imagine how sweet it is. It's like, how many people here have been to Hawaii? All right. So how difficult is it to explain the nature of Hawaii to people that have never been there? Now, I'm not talking about Honolulu. The picture, have you ever been to Maui? The road to Hana, you couldn't explain what you see to people. There's nothing that they can judge it by. So generally when people, it's difficult to explain the pleasures of Hawaii. Hawaii is a pretty far out place. Same thing is true with Mayapur. How many people have been to Mayapur? So how do you explain to someone that you start to describe Mayapur to someone and you realize you're not going to get it because I can't find the words. There is no way to describe the beauty and the situation you find in Mayapur. You're actually in the spirit. Am I right? You just got back from your first trip, didn't you? Wasn't it like, weren't you shocked? I mean, everybody knows when they're on their way to Mayapur, this is going to be great. Yippee. And then when you get there, you're like, nobody ever told me it was going to be like this. Well, who could tell you? Even if we could find the words, you're not going to believe it. Sounds too good to be true. And Mama always said, if it sounds too good, it probably is. Mayapur is materially too good to be true. So the joys that are enjoyed in the heavenly planets, there's no reference for us. It's just far above anything you could ever imagine. And then many billions of times above the heavenly planets is the spiritual world, which includes Mayapur and Vrindavan. So I encourage you to go to Mayapur someday. You got to experience this. You have no idea. Tell me if I'm wrong. You have no idea what's waiting there. I mean, you get to see Krishna. You get to see Lord Chaitanya's stomping grounds. So, all right, we'll get back to that. So, after many, many years of enjoyment in the heavenly planets, the unsuccessful yogi takes a pious birth. This doesn't sound like failure, does it? Well, the guy didn't lose anything. Because he was unsuccessful at achieving self-realization and therefore Krishna consciousness, he has to go away and enjoy material pleasures in the very top of the material world. That's his punishment? No, it's not punishment. Krishna says, or if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes a birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world. Krishna goes on taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life. And he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. Krishna closes by saying, by virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. So, if you haven't at some point in your spiritual career, as you read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, as you read this again and again, you're going to start to think, wait a minute, does that apply to me? Is that what happened to me? You ever wondered, how in the heck did I get here? Krishna's devotees, with Krishna's words written that I can study and read again and again. How did this happen? Is it because I'm special? Am I like better than everybody else or something? I mean, Lita Priya is, and we know that. Duh. So, but I mean, could you have possibly come from such a previous life that the minute you heard this, it woke you up? And you took off right where you left off? Well, that's what Krishna says happens. Don't worry. If you blow it, if you drop the ball, you're going to take off the next birth right where you are. You're not going to lose any of this knowledge. So as soon as you get some remembrance, this Krishna consciousness, immediately what you know starts to awaken. You start to come out of this illusion. This is guaranteed. You're not going to lose anything. You're going to take right off. I mean, how good is that? That's a pretty good offer. I mean, I think it's an offer that you'd have to be a fool to refuse. No, Krishna, I think not. Thank you for introducing me to this nice family of yours, and the chanting is all, that's great, and the food is delicious, and this has all been good. I'm going to go get a degree, buy a car, buy a house, find a spouse, I'm going to eat better, sleep better, mate better. Well, of course, then I'll have to defend better, So, Krishna, think you know. But this is where I leave. So, so this is a pretty good offer. It's an offer you can't refuse. Krishna says, surrender to me. Become my devotee. Everything you do me. Everything you say, do as an offering of love to me. All the thoughts that you think, do as an offering of love to me. Now you may think, God, I'm not on that level. All right, Krishna, this sounds pretty good, but man, I can't guarantee you that I can think of you 100%, 24/7, 365. Can I? I can't do that. That's okay. Do what you can. Come as far to me as you can. It's like a baby learning to walk. Has anybody seen that picture of Prabhupada when he was in Butler, Pennsylvania? And what was their name? The Agarwal? The Agarwals. Their child took their first step. Here's Prabhupada in that picture.
Hey.
No. And the baby's like, yes, I'll go to the Swami. You know. So this is Krishna. Krishna's saying, come on, take that step. Take your step towards me. That's beautiful. Now take another one. Come on. It's not going to end if suddenly you lose your balance and you fall over. Doesn't stop. Still has his hands out. Even if you turn your back, even if you try to go away. If you're offended with Krishna's devotees, that's a hard one to overcome. If you don't be offensive to the devotees, then, hey, just come back and try. If you're offensive to the devotees, then Krishna's like, wait a minute now. You offended my devotee. Go to my devotee. My devotee is kind and loving. They will forgive you. But I stand behind my devotee. Those who are devoted to me, I stand behind them. So, if you decide to walk away and you're not offensive, you didn't lose anything. You might even go back out in the material world and enjoy like everything, right? Yeah, for 50 years I've seen people try that. Now I have a different intelligence than when I came to these people. Right, so associating with you and reading what you recommend me read, now understanding of the material world, which is true. You have an understanding of how things work in the material world. Can I not now, with this knowledge, better manipulate the material energy for my gratification? Sometimes people think like that. With these new purified senses that I have, now I can enjoy on a higher level. So what happens? I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen this. Oh, they come right back. Sometimes it takes a long time. Depends on how much suffering they can take. But think about it. If we leave Krishna consciousness, what are our choices to go? Where do you go? You know, what's this church over here? Is that a Greek church that's over there?
Yeah, it's closed now, but yeah.
Well, I know it's closed. It's not Sunday.
It was Greek Orthodox.
Yeah. So should I just move over there, across the street? Maybe I can get everything that I didn't get here. And I can enjoy on a higher level. Maybe I can get wow. Because with or you can get profit and then become famous. Hey, this could really work, you know, if I get fame and some profit, and then I might get some someone may adore me, or at least my money or my fame. They want to be seen with me, and distinction. If I get rich enough, I'll get some distinction. You see, so thank you, Krishna, for bringing me this far with your knowledge. I'm going to walk out, make some money, get famous, find adoration and distinction, and I'll no longer need you. Never seen that work. Has anybody here ever seen that work? I mean, I've never, in over 50 years, I've never seen it work. Not even close. So it's kind of a danger. Once you get past a certain point in your knowledge, how do you dumb yourself down? How do you become stupid again? How do you go out in the world and behave as if you don't know what you have learned? This would be a war between you and your brain, your consciousness. How do I pretend I don't understand this? How do I pretend that reality doesn't exist? You may have doubts, but after you get a certain amount of intelligence, your mind is always going to want to act on the intelligence. I've seen people go through awkward times when they try to defeat the philosophy. If you haven't experienced that, you will. You will. I've gone to people's house. I went to this one house one time. I was invited as a guest by someone who was a devotee, but their husband was not. But he was favorable. And so he was. So I was invited over, first time we went to their place. And I didn't know it, but he's sitting there with an iPad and a laptop, and he's got all these websites open, and he starts throwing all the dirt that he can find on the internet about Prabhupada. Why, they've been child abusers, and there's been this, and there's all the negative things he could dig up. And trying to prove to me that Prabhupada was just an ordinary person. And so, don't show your story. Let him talk. Let him say what he's got to say. So he went on and on and on for like 40 minutes. And his wife kept looking at me like, when are you going to blow him away? I mean, you got a nuclear weapon, and I'm thinking you're going to throw it any minute. What? You know what? So I just said, when he was finished, or when he started to catch his breath a little bit, I said, so you're the guy. I was really upset, but I was controlling it. So you are the guy. I was waiting to meet you. It took me all these decades to meet you. You're the guy that's going to disprove Srimad Bhagavatam. You're the guy. You're the guy that's going to disprove Bhagavad Gita. You are the guy. Nobody has ever been able to do it. And you're not the first one I've been confronted with that tried. This is not my first rodeo. And so you're throwing all this stuff. So in other words, you think you're the guy that just debunked the Hare Krishna philosophy. And then in my mind, silently, I said, you flipping idiot. You don't. And it's kind of enlivening because you don't get to see this very often. Typically you talk, intelligent people, and they're like, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I understand. People are gaining in their consciousness. Rarely do you find anybody, and it's kind of a treat when you do find somebody that says, I think what about this? So you're like, this is good practice once in a while. So you're going to debunk us. You poor fool. So, yeah, how do you, once you get to a certain point, how do you let go of reality? You got to go back into nescience. You've got to go ignorant again. How do you do that? You can't. So I have seen people that will go away and they'll say for a long time, yeah, I'm fully accept the philosophy, but I just can't do it. I can't do it right now. Okay, I understand. We're still with you. You're still part of the family. You know, we're just like Krishna. We're going to say, look, as long as you're not offensive, you're going to start off where you left off. You didn't lose a thing. So if you feel that you need to go embrace the material energy, don't let me get in your way. Because the sooner you go, I've actually said this, people, the sooner you go out that door to enjoy on a higher level, the sooner you're going to come back. So if you're going to go, I'd rather be it sooner than later. Go on out there, embrace Maya, track her down. Get that sweet embrace. See where it goes. When you're tired of being kicked, that door is always open. It's open. Krishna leaves it open. I'm just his servant. I leave it open too. Come on back anytime. Yeah.
Think it would be like unwise to seek opportunities that would give you like more money if it's like the case that you can use it for Krishna service, or is that like not a good thing to try to do?
No, that's really a good thing to do. I mean, sometimes, there's a lot of pleasure in doing for someone that, Krishna's, that whenever we get a chance to do something for him, it's always very, very sweet. I mean, what if we could go out and make millions of dollars? What if we could walk into Mother Sandamani and our chief of the capital campaign, Tatiana. What if we could go into
I was
Tatiana?
just thinking, please give me any 30 million.
I mean, what if we could walk in and say, hey, how much you're looking for? Well, we're looking for how much?
A lot.
A
We're waiting
lot.
for a big number. Let's say 20 million.
Okay, we're looking for 20 million. What if you could say, I can cover 25 today and more will come later? Well, that's even more than, well, yeah, that gives me great pleasure to give you more than you want. What if you could do that? So-
We were all
I mean, it's a great situation to find yourself in when you have enough wealth that you become a go-to person for the temple.
What's your name?
Omar. Omar. Yeah, so I've known grihastas that were successful in their life and they were able to, when the temple needed money, they just say, yeah, I can do that.
Can we talk a little bit about the offenses that would turn you from starting again in where you left off?
Well, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. What would be an offense?
Blasphemy the devotees, Leviticated and lies,
Okay.
propagating the holy name of the Lord.
That's the first one. to consider the names of the demigods to be equal to or independent of.
Lord Krishna, disobey the orders of the spiritual master.
Is that in
To try to give some interpretation.
the next recommendation?
To give some mundane interpretation to the chanting of the holy name.
Instead of chanting Hare Krishna, the auspicious holistic activities often the names as Kamakanda.
To think that chanting Hare Krishna should be used for material gain.
Strength of the name.
Commit sinful activity in the strength of chanting the holy names. To instruct a faithless person on the strength on the chanting of the holy names.
So you're not supposed to tell faithless people about the Hare Krishna?
We can tell them, and we tell them about it all the time, but we don't give them the full story. We don't tell them that with this potency, it gives you certain potency. There's some things that come along with the chanting of Hare Krishna that we can't just go out and tell everyone. Now, heck, we're not even going to tell you. You're just going to realize it as time goes by. So it's an offense to tell people in other words, if you do this, you're going to get this power, and so here's what that is and what you can do. That's an offense.
The final offense is to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter.
It's also an offense to be inattentive while chanting.
Every devotee claims to
The
be
Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to achieve the desired success, which is Krishna Prema.
And aren't you supposed to recite that before you do your japa?
Huh?
Aren't you supposed to recite all those before you do your rounds?
I don't think there's a supposed to attached, but it is not a bad idea to say that once in a while. To remind ourselves.
That's in the nectar of devotion.
It is.
Yeah.
Used to be, I don't know if we still do it here, but it used to, it
Sunday
was,
morning.
Huh?
Sunday morning, the devotees recite the 10 offenses of chanting.
yeah. In the old days, we did it after Tulsi Puja, every day.
In LA, they do every day.
Yeah, many places do. They still do every day. So we don't want to offend a devotee. Lie to, cheat, to be disrespectful. Why are the devotees anybody else? Why can't I offend them? If I can I? Well, try not to offend anyone. I mean, that guy and that guy, but not these guys. Why? Why can you offend anybody? Not offensive. Krishna wanted him to get tough and go out there and win the war. So we don't want to offend anyone, but sometimes our service might require us to do something heavy, just to protect the devotees and like that. So yeah, we have to be careful about being offensive to anyone, but especially the devotees of Krishna. It's not necessary. And I'll tell you, it gets to be tough because there's going to be people who will do offense. What offense? I don't accept offenses. I tell you that. Those who advance in consciousness, they don't accept offenses. You may commit offenses, but they don't accept them. However, there may be others that are offended because you offended them. Other devotees get offended. Krishna, you offended my devotee. Yes, but Krishna, he didn't accept the offense. What about me? Hey, look, I'm sorry, Krishna. Go make it right. Don't ever feel like, Jiva was so mean. It wasn't. Maybe they really didn't treat you properly. Grow up. What do you want? A world that's everybody's gonna treat you properly? Oh, then you need to go to Goloka Vrindavan. We've got the place for you. You're walking about on planet Earth in Kali Yuga, and you don't want people to offend you. And you're still offended because Santa Claus never wrote back. You know, come on. Wake up. Yeah.
What happens when we criticize? We criticize others.
Criticism depends on the intent. Sometimes some people have to point out some weakness or mistake. Some weakness you have or some mistake that you made accidentally or intentionally. Sometimes these things have to be pointed out. So it depends on the spirit of the criticism. There is constructive criticism. If you can criticize with love to help better someone, then you're doing service to them. If you criticize without ultimately needing to encourage someone's advancement, then best keep your mouth shut. If you're trying to do harm in your criticism, well, you're in trouble. That's not going to work out well for you. Even if you say, well, it's just devotionals. No, it's not. You don't have to do it. I mean, sometimes people have to, if there's a teacher that's teaching you something that you're trying to learn to do, there's going to have to be some criticism. Unless you're just perfect in everything, you pick it all up 100% right away and never make a mistake. That usually doesn't happen, does it? We need to learn. We make mistakes. We start to speculate. We need somebody to smack us upside the head. Stop speculating. Oh, yes, okay. You know. Yeah.
You talk about disobeying a direct order of the instruction master.
Yeah, we should not. When the guru gives you a direct order, you should take it as your life's work. So, I mean, therefore we need a bona fide spiritual master. You see. The bona fide spiritual master is not going to give you an order that you will not accept. Along with the instruction from the guru is attached the power, the Shakti, to carry out the instruction. It's not like he's going to tell you do something, if he's bona fide. Do something, no, an extreme chance that you'll fail. Srila Prabhupada gave all of us in the early days instructions that were impossible. You know, you're an English-speaking person, go to Tokyo, start a temple with no money and no manpower. But along with that instruction is the potency, if you surrender to it, to carry out. So the guru doesn't give you something because it's an offense for you to not obey. He doesn't give you. He has to think. Wow, I need to tell you to do this, but I'm wondering if you're advanced enough to do it. Maybe you're not there to the point where you can surrender enough to be successful at this task. So the guru's always thinking. So sometimes the guru makes a suggestion.
Good morning.
He didn't invite us. So it's not always easy for the guru to know. I know what I need to tell you to do, but will you do it? So maybe I can make some suggestions and see if, when the guru realizes you're surrendered, he may give you a direct order. Go to Las Cruces and open a temple. Never wanted. I never thought I would end up serving in the desert. Wasn't my plan. I was wandering back and forth and all over the eastern part of the U.S. I got west of Mississippi, and I got further west of it. Then I'm preaching all over Texas. And the next thing I know, I found myself in El Paso years ago distributing books at a mall. And I'm thinking, wow, it seems like this El Paso's got some real possibilities, Then I'm sitting in my car. It was in a mall, Cielo Vista Mall, and there's like one tree in the whole parking lot, and it's not that big. So there was about 4 feet of shade. And I was the one car in the parking lot that found that shade that day. So I'm sitting there in my van with the windows down, and it's like 100 degrees. And I'm just taking a breath and drinking some water, thinking about how much I despise, the desert. This is just suffering. And I got in my car, it was like 200 degrees, so roll the windows and sit there. So then I started to think what a nice place El Paso could be. There were no devotees there at the time, and I'm thinking, this could turn out to be, and then I'm thinking, And now look, Krishna, I don't want you to think that I'm asking you to send me, because I really like mountains with big hardwood trees and rivers that always have water in them. That's what I was. So, and then Krishna let me know his plan, and I wound up living in the desert. And most of my service is in the desert. So, but because it's what he wanted, it actually became very attractive. This is what he wants me to do. I don't get to do what I think I wanted to do for my enjoyment. I get to do what he wants me to do for his enjoyment. That kind of helps keep us in line. Any more questions? All right. Thank you so much for coming out on such a wet night. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
God.